Night Terrors, Shazam! Number 2, written by Mark Waid, with art by Roger Cruz, Wellington Diaz, Arif Prianto, and Troy Pateri. And in this issue, we see how Mary Marvel overcomes her dark brother, zapping her to death with a lightning bolt, like she did to the rest of the Shazam family in the previous issue of the series. And ultimately, she just becomes Mary Marvel and says, I'm going to kick your ass. It's a weird situation where you do have Mary Marvel overcoming like we wanted, like we just talked about in Green Lantern. This is pretty much all we want of our characters to do, to show us why our characters are great and why they can overcome this even in a dream scenario. And while she doesn't even necessarily believe that she's in a dream because she's going with the flow, she is showing us that she deserves to be the champion, right? She deserves to be Mary Marvel because she can overcome these things. But when you get the story to become, I'm going to use my powers to then astral project out of my body in my dream form and go to the rest of my brothers and sisters who are also having nightmares. She is a dream warrior, but then she is going into their dream, telling them that she's sharing the power so they become Shazam as well, and then they can all overcome their own dreams together. And I'm like, you're doing the things that I hate the other Night Terrors doing by having shared dreams to the point where you're actually making it happen for no real reason. Well, yeah, you could say it's magic and she has all these different powers that we don't fully understand yet, but to astral project out of your nightmare body into your brothers and sisters like bodies to give them Shazam powers to overcome their nightmares, I'm like, it's a weird take for me.
Yeah, and then at the end you just have like evil and Night's End. I'm like, what's that again, doing? It ends like, weird.
Like, even the idea of you're going from, like, you know, person to person inside the Shazam family, and, like, we're seeing their individual little dreams. Oh, no, Eugene's being bullied. Shazam, oh, he's not being bullied anymore. Pedro, he has to do speaking in front of people in a desert for some reason. He doesn't have pants. Well, Shazam, you have pants now. These little vignettes of what we're doing, they're not that interesting to me. And it's just like, even when you go into your, like, Rosa and Victor's, like, all right, I'm going to pull my dad into my mom's dream, and they're going to be swashbuckling pirates together because I can't share.
It's weird. Did it make you to play like it seemed like they go in the pirate ship and it's like, I don't know, Mom might like this. She might. It was a weird.
It's almost like a romance novel.
That's what I thought. Like Fabio's right there, like off battle. He's like his fair flowing because we're inside Mom's dream. Try not to think about it too hard. And I was thinking that they were saying that to the dad, like, don't get jealous. But I guess it's like we're in this dream. I'm telling you, I'm like, I think she might be enjoying this pirate scenario of some sort. But
even the idea where she can't share the power of Shazam with her parents because they don't understand what it is to be. I'm like, it's a fucking dream. They can imagine what it's like. They're not dream warriors.
I thought that would have been neat to see them as this, and then maybe because this is the weird play. Are they going to remember this? Because at one point, Mary kind of says, was that a dream? Were they really there? Because this would end up being something interesting going back to the Shazam book of, especially Darla. She's been begging to get the power back. Oh, they get it in the Nightmare Realm, but we can't get it now again, and it might be or could this have been a play where Mark Waid's like, fuck it, I'm not going to do anything in this book for Night Terrors. Maybe they could have come up with a cool way that they do get the power to go because we want the Shazam family in the regular book, but I don't know what's going on. And it's weird because at the end of last issue, you had Mary's getting in the taxi with the insomnia. You ended up thinking there was precog stuff, and that's just kind of pushed aside.
And the way that I understood using her new power set, and like we don't fully understand what it means and how the wisdom of whatever works in this way or that. I thought that she was having a precog notion about what was to come with Night Terrors, where like she was dreaming about it before it ever happened, warning her about the things to come when she gets stuck in the nightmares, like, you know, when it actually does show up, because she doesn't fully understand what's happening. But that's how I understood this one.
These don't feel connected as well.
We're balls deep in the nightmares in this one, and she is jumping body to body to give her brothers and sisters, you know, like Shazam powers, making sure that her parents are together to fight off the nightmares that they have. And then you also have evil Black Adam Billy, who's overpowering her, knocking her from like Dream Realm to Dream Realm.
Black Billy, people are calling him.
Yeah, well, there you go, Black Billy, that works. And then to the point where she's like, you know, her own fears are being expressed, where Billy's so much bigger than her. He's the captain, like this. She deserved to be this. To the point where she's getting smaller and he's getting bigger. But then you have the rest of the Shazam family show up in this dream all together and they fight back to the point where everybody wakes up and Black Billy is defeated. But it's just, you have Mary wake up like, man, that was a weird dream. Oh my God, I'm looking out the window. Black Billy's real.
Black Billy. I like the idea too at the middle of it. She's not a dream warrior. She's more in the cheap trick camp. And she says, I'm part of the dream police, bitch.
That's right.
But when you go through, when she's doing it, it's a weird play because I want to think that I'd like the idea of, we haven't gotten the Flash or the Shazam family in a while. We haven't seen Darla. But when you have it just doesn't feel right. Even the idea, I'm going to, phase in Dream Warrior into each of the kids and give them these. But
it's just so underwhelming the way that we do it,
It is. And then Mark Waid, there's some good to be had. Again, why this doesn't work as much as, say, the Green Lantern, I don't really know. I'm not a writer, but when you do it, and she even has that play, all right, Darla will be fine. It's nice. She ends up, I trust Darla. She's great. She has the power. I'll move on. And I thought that's something pretty cool, but it didn't feel like earned. I don't know why it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel real.
Like a lot of these Dawn of DC books, we only had a few issues before Night Terrors took over, Shazam being one of them, where we don't fully understand the concept of what Mark Waid is trying to do with the Shazamily at this point, because it really does seem like we have Billy Batson, who's the captain, and you have Mary, who is Mary Marvel, and that's it. They can't share the power with the rest of the former Shazamily, and they're upset about it. Like, Freddy wants to go off and get his own power any way he can because he misses having the power himself. So actually giving the power to them here and making them feel like, what matters most is the family that we have with powers, bringing back the New 52 Shazamily. Like, is that the direction we're going to go? Because if we're not, this feels really weird.
You're right. You can't get a grip. And the weird play is, and this is where, we had the problem. And the Shazam family has been a bit of a mess for a while now, since Death Metal really has been with the whole, Tim Sheridan doing stuff with Billy and not having the power, the Rock of Eternity sunk out of the center, all that nonsense. So we're still trying to get a little bit of a lay of the land. Teddy, the future of Black Adam as a kid. It's crazy. So you have all that going on. And I think that this really shows what you're saying is correct. The idea, not that we just don't know what Mark Waid is up to, but I don't even know that he fully had, because there's only been a couple issues. So yeah, I'm sure he has things planned ahead. But at this moment, what can he do in this after only having 2 issues? He can't really do much. So he ends up trying to, I think, do fan service with, hey, since we haven't had the Shazamily, let's get it in here. But like I said, it didn't feel earned. And then it kind of makes me pissed that we're not going to get it when we go back, because it wouldn't feel right away to get it.
It's such a weird idea for me, too, where you have a Shazam Night Terrors book. You're not focusing on Billy, you're focusing on Mary Marvel. For that one thing, like, I wanted to see, what makes Billy tick, how Captain Marvel can overcome his worst nightmare. Like, do you become Captain Marvel in your dream instead of situation, something along those lines. And if we're not going to do that and you're going to focus on Mary for whatever reason, like we do in this, show us fucking Mary Marvel. Show her what these powers mean to her in this new set that's different than what she previously had. And just don't focus on the family, because up to this point, you haven't. You pretty much said, we're phasing them out, what it feels like. So don't worry about them. We're dealing with this right now. And the primary focus is Billy. But if you want to do Mary, show us Mary.
And you know what the weird play is? The idea that you do have Mary, a different pantheon. You have all the goddesses, demi-goddesses, things like that. But when you play it up here, like, you forgot, I have the wisdom of Minerva. You're like, all right, that's just the same. I wanted to see something a little different. Like, why?
Oh, well, maybe Minerva, she's a little better than Solomon. Maybe she's got them precog powers.
Well, again, wouldn't that be neat? That'd be different. I want to see why they'd be different. And the players, it's like almost in here, it's like, well, I have the wisdom of Minerva. Well, I have the wisdom of Solomon. Then they're going to have to sit down and do little, IQ tests. It's just the same. And that's why I was hoping maybe we'd see a little bit different. Like you said.
Turns out Minerva's playing checkers.
3D chess, bitch. Who knows? But I think the precog thing could have been kind of a neat little way to, and really introduce it here in this Nightmare version deal. That would have been kind of cool. But by the end, I also think that when you end up having Eugene and Black Billy looking almost the exact same, it's just the lightning bolts that's different. I think that causes some problems as well. But by the end, the art's okay. It's pretty good.
No, I enjoyed the art a lot in this whole thing. It's just the story is very, the story is just very underwhelming for me because of how Mary goes about doing things like astral project over here, and then all those other people are going to astral project into my dream, which might not even be my head anymore. Who knows? We're going to defeat Black Billy, and by the end, I'm going to wake up and Black Billy's real. That's a mess to me.
You know, it's funny, too, because we've really been enjoying, for the most part, Mark Waid's stuff coming back to DC. And the Shazam family, and Shazam, that's one of your favorite characters.
I love them.
Teen Titans you love. And we were a little thrown off this week by Mark Waid's Teen Titans as well. It seemed like he's got this weird, the mojo disappeared this week a bit.
He's got some ideas that he wants to put out there that I don't necessarily agree with, or I'm expecting more from something that he's just trying to have fun with.
Exactly. And we have it on the Patreon Spotlight just as a bit of a commercial, but when we were talking about that, it felt weird in the second issue to have almost what felt like a one-shot in that Teen Titans book. So we were kind of taken aback by that, but you'd have to go listen. Patreon.com/Weird Science to hear all that. An hour and a half long episode. But what would you give this?
Thing is, this feels a lot like this Zatanna book to me, where I think the book looks great. You have some good moments, but the good moments that you have, I don't know if they mean anything. And if you are a Shazam fan or a Captain Marvel fan, whatever you want to call it at this point, it just feels like, almost the basic bitch stuff. Like, I say the idea because that's all we get with Green Lantern, but that was fun throughout, and it felt like it made sense for who the character was. This is just a weird mishmash of ideas thrown together in a nightmare scenario that never really feels like it comes together. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm a 5.5 as well. And here's the weird play is when you end up, and you said you were hoping maybe you get a little more Billy. We've had more of a focus on Mary recently, so it would have been nice to see a little
she had her own
deep dive.
miniseries.
Yeah, deep dive with Billy. But you're setting up Mary, so it's something a little different there. You end up having, but yet you still try to go back to the basics, but then it has to be fun. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right overall. Maybe it'll play out better as we go back to the Shazam book, and we'll be like, oh my God,
and maybe
that,
there will be some synergy, but with the idea of sharing the power in the dream, and maybe they can continue to have the power in some, manifestation in the waking world because of what Mary did in their minds. I don't know.
That would be pretty cool.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.